What is going on, Headliner Nation? Hopefully everybody's doing well out there today, where myself and Kyle are back talking more ADP. But now, Kyle, we're past the first round, right? We're moving on in to the second round, where things start to get a little bit interesting because there's a few names in this round that we probably really don't agree on it, but people are absolutely loving this series. And we're going to try to get it all the way to about the sixth round or so. So make sure you guys stay tuned, hit that subscribe button. A lot more rounds to cover. But Kyle, today is round two.
Yeah, and you know what we say around here, give the people what they want. And they wanted this series again this year, so we said, absolutely, let's go for it.
Yeah, it really wasn't on the schedule to begin with.
It wasn't.
And then people started commenting about it. They're like, oh, you know what, maybe we should probably do that, because people actually liked it. So absolutely appreciate those comments. Make sure you leave them down below if there's something that you're looking for. But Kyle, we're going to start off here at the top of round one, and the first pick in the second round right now is one Nicholas Chubb. Sir Nicholas Chubb of the Cleveland Browns. He is near and dear to my heart. The news has come out recently that he is suffering from a possible concussion, which you covered in your breaking news videos, which are absolute #hellafire. It's a concussion more than likely, so he should be good to go. And right now, at the 2.1, I am smashing the buy button because I still love me some Nick Chubb, regardless of what everybody wants to say about how Kareem Hunt is still there. It doesn't matter. Chubb's still going to touch the ball 250 plus times.
You know what would happen if Kareem Hunt were to go down with an injury or miss any games or anything like that?
I wouldn't be able to stand up.
Nick Chubb would be a top 3, top 4 running back. So based on that potential upside, I'll draft him. But I'm also going to draft him because of the safe floor, because we know the guy is still going to get at least 250 carries this year, if not more.
Yeah, absolutely. Love me some Nick Chubb. But number 2 is a lot of people's favorite tight end. It's Travis Kelce. Right now, he's sitting at 2.2. And in my opinion, it's really, 1A, 1B between him and Kittle. You can't really go wrong. The problem is, this isn't really where I want to draft a tight end because I'm still looking for some running backs if possible. So I'm going to sell Travis Kelce at the 2.2, even though I think he still repeats a lot of his numbers and has a great year here in 2020.
Yeah, I agree. It's just too early for a tight end for me. I'm not really interested in it. I'd rather get if I'm not getting my RB2 here, I'd rather be getting my wide receiver 1. If I got my wide receiver 1 in the first round, then I'd rather get my running back 1 here. So I'm just not interested in taking a tight end at the beginning of the first round. People are going to be like, oh, Travis Kelce, he's basically like a wide receiver. It doesn't matter if he basically is. I'm still going to go ahead and take the wide receiver 1 here, and I will take a better not a better tight end, but a better value later on.
Yep, absolutely. The 2.3 is the first wide receiver of this round. It's Julio Jones. And I think I've annoyed the people at this point talking about this division and the amount of offense that could be had by the Atlanta Falcons, the New Orleans Saints, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Maybe not so much the Carolina Panthers, but at least their defense should be poor enough that teams can, pile on top of it. There's a lot of offense in this division. And Julio Jones now, you just know what you're going to get with him, right? He is very, very safe. You're going to go out there. You're going to get 1,300 yards. The touchdowns are the biggest question mark. But this dude, if he could ever cross from that 8 to 10 touchdown range, game over. Love me some Julio Jones. I'll still buy him right now at the 2.3.
Yeah, I'll buy him here too because he's my wide receiver 2 on the season. So, absolutely love Julio Jones. This is the one area where I'll start conceding to wide receivers a little bit. If I've already drafted my locked in running back 1 in the first round and I get here and Julio Jones is sitting here, I've really got no problem taking him here because you're going to be getting one of the best wide receivers in all of football over the last several years. If he scored a few more touchdowns here and there, then he would be the number 1 wide receiver taken every single season.
Yep, absolutely, 100% agree. The 2.4 is our second quarterback. We saw Mahomes all the way in the first round in the previous episode, but Lamar Jackson's sitting right here at the 2.4. And Kyle, we had a few comments about people telling us to shut up, quit telling people to not draft quarterbacks early. It's really screwing up their draft, their draft strategies because they bank on a lot of people drafting these quarterbacks early because it means that the top studs fall to them. We're not quarterback early people. I've had a couple questions the last couple days saying, hey, what if Mahomes or Lamar fell to the third round? Would you consider it? And I'd be lying if I don't say I consider it. Does that mean that I'm absolutely going to do it? Another story, but in the second round, absolutely not. I'm still looking for running backs, wide receivers, so I'm going to pass and sell Lamar Jackson in the second.
Basically said the same thing yesterday about Patrick Mahomes. If you pass on a quarterback here and you take a running back, the running back that you're going to get here is way better than the running back that you would get in, let's say, round 5. Whereas if you were to pass on Lamar Jackson here and get like Dak Prescott in round 5, like those two are a lot closer together points wise by the end of the season. So give me the quarterback a little bit later on and let me continue to work on those skill positions right here.
Yeah, if you want the best overall quarterback, then yeah, you can take these guys early. If you want the best overall team as a whole that's really going to help you compete all year long, you got to think about that. You can't just look at just one position. So the 2.5, somebody who's starting to creep up a little bit, and I absolutely love myself some Miles Sanders right now sitting at the 2.5. I don't think I could smash the draft button fast enough if he's sitting there at 2.5. There's a few names here in the second round at the running back position that I still love, and Miles Sanders' ceiling is absolutely huge because right now, what's he competing with? Boston Scott. That's about it. You got a bunch of banged up wide receivers or guys that aren't going to be there in Philadelphia. I mean, this could be another huge year incoming for Miles Sanders.
It's funny because we've had basically all off season long and the last 4 or 5 weeks of last season to really hype up Miles Sanders and get him to a point where he was going to have a high draft slot this year. CEH has been hyped up for 2 weeks now, and he's made a quicker climb than what Miles Sanders has. So I'm surprised Sanders isn't going into the first round, beginning of the second round right now. I'm surprised he's actually falling this far. So yep, I'll take him right here all day, every day.
Yep, 100%. 2.6. We're going to sell Aaron Jones, and we've been saying this all offseason. It's not so much that we don't like Aaron Jones. We love Aaron Jones. We love the talent of Aaron Jones. We don't love how the organization handles said Aaron Jones. I mean, it's just like they don't want to commit fully to him. You still got Jamal Williams. You have newly drafted running back A.J. Dillon, who looks like a mini version of Hulk out there. We know that the touchdown regression is going to come. How involved are these other running backs? It's a question mark. And with some of these other guys on the board, I would rather take my chances there than risk it with Aaron Jones. I'm going to sell him at 2.6.
Yep, I'm going to sell him as well. And honestly, it's hard to lay out the entire argument for not drafting Aaron Jones at this point right now. It really goes back to that must-avoid video that you did with Aaron Jones. So link that down in the description below. The people can go check it out. But I highly encourage you, if we haven't sold you on passing on Aaron Jones yet, that episode will do it.
Yeah, and don't forget, we were the biggest supporters of Aaron Jones last year.
Oh, yeah.
We are not an Aaron Jones hater show. This is just how we see things, playing out this year. The 2.7, Josh Jacobs. And this one excites us a little bit. We've been talking about Josh Jacobs since you and I left Indianapolis at the Combine, where we heard Mike Mayock say, hey, listen, this guy's going to be more involved in the passing game. And then you go out through the draft and they get a Henry Ruggs and a Bryan Edwards and Lynn Bowden. People are like, oh, well, see, they re-signed Jalen Richard too. He's not going to be involved at all. And then recently here, Jacobs has come out and said, hey, listen, I'm setting a goal for myself right around 60 receptions. And if he can get to 60 receptions, oh, dear God. I absolutely love it because the talent is there. The opportunity is there. He's going to touch the ball 225 plus times easy in this offense. And to get that mid-second round, I love me some Josh Jacobs.
I think this is a testament on how well you and I kind of go from year to year, and we don't get stuck on one guy and stay there just because we feel we need to be right on something. With Aaron Jones, we absolutely loved Aaron Jones last year, and this year we're like, hey, probably not a good idea. Last year with Josh Jacobs, we were two of really the only people that were like, don't mind Josh Jacobs, but I really don't want to use this draft slot on him. And you know what? He had a pretty good season, but now we're like, look, okay, the dude has shown it. We've seen it. Now we understand exactly what the dude can do. And like you said, Mike Mayock now has said they want to get him more involved. John Gruden has said they want to get him more involved. Jacobs himself has said, I want 60 receptions. I don't know what else you would want from all of this. The dude's going to be more involved this year. And I broke him down in a must-have video. And the path to 300 carries is easy for him. It's not that difficult. So he's going to have a lot of volume.
Yep, absolutely 100% agree. All right, next guy up is one we're going to disagree on. And no, it's not because I'm an Arizona Cardinals homer. I like Kenyan Drake, and I will buy Kenyan Drake 100%. He's one of my must-haves this year if I can get him. And really, if you look at the Cardinals team as a whole, an overall look at that running back group, I laid this out in depth in another video, but if you add up all the starting running backs that played in 2019, you had a few games from David Johnson, a couple from Chase Edmonds, the end of the year with Kenyan Drake. Had you add up just the starting running backs in all of those 16 games, they would have finished as running back 3 overall. It's the offense. It's the air raid style offense. It's the 4 wide sets. It's, the crossing patterns across the field. It's going to open things up for whoever is playing running back. I don't care who it is. It could be some dude sitting in section 212 drinking a Bud Light. If you put him in the backfield, he's probably going to have a pretty solid fantasy day in Arizona. Because, it's just the way that they include guys in this offense. It kind of reminds me of kind of like a Pittsburgh Steelers. It doesn't really matter who's ever been back there. They're just going to kind of produce. And that's how I see Kenyan Drake, and I'm loving him at 2.8.
Yeah, and I love Kenyan Drake as well. I've got absolutely nothing against him. But the reason that I have him listed here as a sell is because, number one, a guy coming up after him I've got ranked ahead of him, and I would much rather take him here if he was still available. Again, I'm also still a little bit worried about that offensive line. Is it going to take a step forward? Is it going to be able to block well enough for him to be super efficient? Something that worries me as well. And then breaking news today, Robert Alford, cornerback for the Arizona Cardinals, is out for the season. So now their defense, even though it kind of took a little bit step forward, now it's taken a big step back again. So are they going to get themselves into a whole lot of passing situations? Because if they do, they have so many receiving weapons there that I don't think Kenyan Drake's going to be the number one option for Kyler Murray that often. So those are just some concerns I think end up limiting his upside. I've still got him as a running back 1 right now, though. I've got him as my running back 12. The only thing is there's just a guy or two after him. I'm like, you know what? I'd rather have him right now.
Do you remember that Paula Abdul song? Take 1 step forward and 2 steps back. You ever heard
I'm supposed to be the one that sings here, not you.
Yeah, no, Kyle. There's certain things that, if they're old enough, I sing them, right? Because you're just not that old enough to remember them. That's kind of what made me think of that when you were talking about how they took a step forward and a step backward.
Are those the songs you used to listen to when you went down to the diner with your girl and put the quarter in the jukebox?
In the jukebox, yep. Yeah, you're still a dick, Kyle. All right, moving on. Going to the 2.9 now is where we have our second tight end. It's George Kittle. And honestly, I mentioned a little bit earlier how it's 1A and 1B with Kelce and Kittle, but the way that wide receivers are dropping in San Francisco, Kittle may see a bajillion and 12 targets this year. I love George Kittle as a tight end, but like we said earlier, I can't take a tight end here in the second. If George Kittle falls to the third, I have some serious contemplating to do. In the second, though, can't do it. Give me another running back or top wide receiver. So I'm going to sell George Kittle here, which kind of scares me a little bit.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, before I take a tight end, I really feel like I need to have either 2 running backs or a running back and a wide receiver. If I don't have those guys yet, I just can't justify taking a tight end when I feel like I can get really good production based on ADP later on. We're probably not going to get this deep and talk about Geno Smith because, he's still going in like the 12th round or something, but he's our breakout tight end. We talk about him in depth in the draft guide. I feel like he's got so much upside for going like in the 12th round that it's just hard to pass on that when he's maybe got, 100 points less than Kittle by the end of the season when, I could take a top guy right here. So it's
probably going to be less than that.
Yeah.
I looked at it earlier. The difference between tight end 3 and tight end 8, 9, 10, very, very minimal. So, yeah, got to sell him here. Still a little bit too early. All right, now at the 2.10 or the 2.10, however you want to say it, it's our off-season love child, Kyle. It is one Austin Ekeler, and I love me some Austin Ekeler this year. He's criminally slept on. He's underrated every single year, and people just want to tie the fact that Phillip Rivers made him what he was because he always checked down, which is not the case. Those were a lot of designed passing plays out of the backfield to get him the ball in space because he can make things happen. He's super efficient, and I love Austin Ekeler here this year. And if he's sitting at 2.10, I'm going to be excited, especially if it's a PPR league.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little concerning you told Headliner Nation we have a love child, but that's neither here nor there.
Breaking news, Kyle. Breaking news.
But you said it exactly. Melvin Gordon has been taking touches away from Austin Ekeler for a couple of years now. And do we really think that Joshua Kelly or Justin Jackson is going to end up doing the same thing? I just don't see it because neither of those guys are anywhere near the type of running back that Melvin Gordon is. So if anything, you say if his floor from last season is what you get this year, he's an automatic draft in the second round. You're getting a running back 1 here in half PPR and PPR leagues. But best case scenario, he adds a ton more volume. He gets a lot of more touches on the ground. He continues to see the same type of volume through the air if they continue to use him in the passing game like that. And now you got yourself, again, like a running back 7, a running back 8 type guy. So give it to me all day here in the second.
No, thanks. I'll pass. 2.11, the 211, Chris Godwin, wide receiver, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it was 2 years ago. I remember sitting on a live stream, and I told the stream at the time that do not be surprised when Chris Godwin outscores Mike Evans. I was laughed at. Last year, we told everybody you need to go get Chris Godwin, and Chris Godwin absolutely balled out. Now, we're talking buy or sell in the second round, and I have the word sell next to his name, and I'm trying to figure out why. But here's the honest truth. I love Chris Godwin. I love the potential of Chris Godwin, but myself included, there's a lot of speculation going around that he's just going to assume the target hog, the main target share there for one Tom Brady. We all think that that's going to happen, but there's nothing that's absolutely pointing to that's what's going to happen. And I don't want to overbuy the hype. And with a name coming up a little bit later in the draft is somebody who I would rather take. So I'm going to sell Chris Godwin here because there's a few names, especially in the third round at the wide receiver position, where if I want to pass on a wide receiver here in the second round, there's some names coming up in the third that I like a lot that I don't think finished that far off of Chris Godwin this year. So I'm going to sell Chris Godwin the end of the second.
I went back and forth on this one a little bit. And honestly, part of the reason that I ended up putting buy was just so we could disagree on something. But, with Chris Godwin, I feel like he's going to be a super safe wide receiver, even if maybe the ceiling that we saw last year comes back down a little bit. And, he's a little bit more of a safer guy. Here in the second round, if you take a wide receiver that maybe at worst finishes as a low end wide receiver 1, I'm probably okay with it. I've still got him up there at around wide receiver 5, though. I've got him right in front of Kenny Galladay, and I love myself some Kenny Galladay. So, I ended up saying, you know what, here at the end of the second round, I'm okay with it. Let's go ahead and roll with Chris Godwin. As long as you have your running back 1 already. If you drafted a wide receiver in the first round, like went Michael Thomas, like mid-first, early first over a couple of those running backs, then I wouldn't be taking Chris Godwin here. But if you were like, man, I really want to get kind of, that top tier wide receiver that I feel is going to be really, really safe. If you want to go with it here, I get it. And that's why I've got him as a buy.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it this way. If you have this pick at the 211, it means you're going to also have the 3.2. And if you tune into the third round show that we do with this here in just a couple of days, you'll see who's sitting at 3.2, who I would rather have at the wide receiver position then. So it's a little bit of a teaser. But to end round 2 here, 12th pick, second round. Right now, this is where Clyde EdwardsHelaire is at, and he's screaming up the ADP. I feel like every time we refresh our ADP, he's higher and higher and higher. And the dude... Exactly. And I mean, it would not be surprised if, by the time the season gets close, by the end of August, he's not verge first round. And we can't do it. We've been talking about this for, ever since Damian Williams opted out. We're not overbuying the hype. However, at this point of the draft, the last pick in the second round, I would probably buy Clyde EdwardsHelaire because at this point, a lot of the other running backs, in fact, everybody else who I have ranked higher, is off the draft board. Mm-hmm. So then I'll go ahead and take myself a Clyde EdwardsHelaire because I really want that second running back. If I go into the third round, there's a few wide receivers I can go after, and I'm not having to choose somebody like a Todd Gurley or a Melvin Gordon, something like that. I get myself a Clyde EdwardsHelaire as my running back 2. Now all of a sudden, I'm okay. I don't want to buy him in the first because I've never seen him play NFL football before. So I don't want him to be my first round pick. Last pick of the second, that's where I draw the line and say, all right, I'll give it a shot and I'll buy him.
Yeah, and I ended up putting him as a sell here. And the main reason is some of these rookies I'm still just kind of worried about that with the way things are going in the offseason. Again, no rookie minicamp, no training camp. That's normal. Okay, they just now got into pads. They're not going to get any preseason games. It just feels like a bit much. And, Clyde EdwardsHelaire to me was never really that great running back prospect. He was a guy that, honestly, if he had not played in this LSU offense last year, he's probably more of like a 5th round pick. He's not a 1st round pick by the Chiefs. He's later on. And I said it on our live show the other day, and I'm going to repeat it right now because people say, well, Kareem Hunt had a huge rookie year. Why can't Kareem Hunt was a better all-around running back prospect than what CEH is or was at this point. And a lot of people are going to disagree with that. But if you go back and you look at the tape, Kareem Hunt wasn't a 1st round pick because he played at Toledo. He didn't play for a national championship team that had the number 1 overall draft pick, that was a Heisman Trophy winner, that had a wide receiver that was a number 1 overall pick, that had another wide receiver that's going to be a number 1 overall pick next year, and a good offensive line. that's part of the reason like he soared so high. He's going to be a guy that's going to be used in the passing game quite a bit. I still don't fully guarantee that we're going to see this guy get 250 carries this season. So that's why I've still got him kind of as a sell right now. Because if he ends up being more of a satellite back, I don't want that in the second round, and I don't want to risk it. If, like we've said, if you don't draft him in the second round, it's not going to win or lose your league this year. It's not going to happen.
Yep, 100%. Absolutely agree. All right, so that's round 2, right? Quick and dirty, the second set of 12 picks here, and we enjoy doing these type of shows. Myself and Kyle get to go back, plus we get to talk about every single player. So that's going to give you guys a little bit of nuggets, just to take away. Just a little bit of nuggets. If you want some more in-depth videos, we have a lot of these names broken down a lot more in-depth on our other videos on the channel. So make sure you head over there and check those out now that this show is just about over. But we greatly appreciate your support. The channel continues to grow. We're making a push to 100,000. Can it happen in a crappy year of 2020? Please and thank you for helping us out. Hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe if you enjoyed the content. For myself and Kyle, we're going to go start breaking down round 3 because we know you guys love this series, and round 3 is right around the corner. So make sure you be on the lookout for it. It should be coming up soon. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your week. We'll talk to you later. Thanks.